Going all in on Bitcoin. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, money makers. So I know many of you are asking yourself the question, is now the time to go all in on Bitcoin? And I'll explain what all in my book is, right? Maybe some people look at it as a different definition. We're going to talk about the crazy numbers that have been coming out in the past few days, that some of them don't even make sense. It feels kind of weird, but I'm going to show you all of this. All I ask is that you give me a beautiful smile, smash that like button, and let's get into it. So currently, the price of Bitcoin is at 47,632, right, at this moment in the space-time continuum. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, the price is a little bit different, but Bitcoin was able to break out of the resistance at 45,000, 46,000, right? And we'll get to this the graph in just a second and show you something that is really wild. You can see how it broke through here and it acted as support, right? We'll get to the secondary resistance here. It acted as a support level right here, and then we had this big rally into the opening of the stock market, where when the stock market opened, there was a dump, right? There was a dump of Bitcoin for about 10 or 15 minutes, where the price of Bitcoin dropped here about 2.5%, and then it rallied back up, getting to the next resistance level. This resistance level was a level that was the high, right? Pre-Bitcoin ETF approval. So it was the high that was created on January 9th, sorry, the day before, right? That the approval was accepted, right? This was on, I think, was it the day that the fake news came out, right? When the SEC Twitter account was hacked, right? So that was the high that was created that day, right? And so I charted it out. So it now acted as a sort of resistance. There was a mini fake out. So it seemed like, oh, we're going to the all-time, or not all-time high, but the local high at 49,000, where it fell off from there, and it created a little bit of a fake out here on the 5-minute chart, where you had a 5-minute where it closed above another 5 minutes, but then it pulled back. So on the hour chart, it wasn't there, right? We look at the stochastic full. The stochastic full is screaming, right? Bitcoin needs to pull back, right? The 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily chart, right? They're all screaming, pull back, pull back, pull back. But that's why I have in my graph, you can see here that I charted out the price going up a little bit, coming back a little bit, and then potentially coming back to this level. I don't know if it will fall all the way down to 40,000. When I drew this, it was just to emphasize the type of movement that I think that we could potentially see. I didn't mean it would come down to 40,000. It just came out like this because of the scaling of the graph. But as you can see, the price of Bitcoin is now at the same level as when Bitcoin was approved, right? On January 10th, when Bitcoin was approved, the price was around 47,000, and it had a pop all the way to 49,000, right? If you remember correctly. And at that time, everybody was, singing the Pump It Up song, and they were very happy. And now people are a little bit timid, a little bit scared because of the sell-off that we had. Of course, when you had all the people that, let me delete this because it's kind of in the way. When you had all the people that were, saying that's it, Bitcoin can't find its holding, right? And we famously, Jim Cramer and Peter Schiff, and they were all bashing Bitcoin, right? And it did drop 20%. We can't beat around the bush. It dropped around 20%, but at this low, something changed. Something changed around the low. What changed? Well, basically what changed is that the ETF inflows have bigger than Grayscale's outflow for 9 days in a row. So on this day of January 25th was the last day that there was more outflows than inflows on the ETFs. So that means that Grayscale was selling more than BlackRock and Fidelity were buying. And BlackRock and Fidelity now hold 151,950 Bitcoin worth 7.16 billion for their ETFs. Giga bullish, right? We take a look, that is the day, around that day, 25th, right? It was the last day that happened. So if we go back and we take a look, right? The last day was the 25th, and 25th was when we were here, right? 25th. So this was the 24th, it hit the low, and then 25th, since it flipped, right? The price of Bitcoin is up 20%, right? So since the amount coming in was greater than going out, it makes sense, right? It's up 20%. So that was manipulating the price of Bitcoin, okay? And so now the question is this, right? Are we in a situation where the pre-halving downside phase is over? Every single Bitcoin halving, we've had this phase of pullback prior to the halving. And this is something that was predicted as well on a prediction that I like to use and share with you guys. There's always a pre-halving pullback. Question is this the pullback and now this is the top and we have a small little pullback, right? Going into halving, which is 2 months away. So, you know, there's still time, right? Or is this, you know, are we here and then there's going to be another pullback and then we come back towards the halving itself? And that's, you know, a good question, right? Many people are saying that the pre-halving downside is actually over, right? And that we're not going to see any more pullback until halving, right? You could also take a look here and see that time is running out. The pre-halving period where pullbacks tend to occur is ending in 1 week. Only 1 week left for a additional downside before the pre-halving rally period begins in light blue. So you can see here, this is the period here prior to halving that usually the market does not pull back. And this was, if we go back into 2020, it pulled back mainly because of the pandemic, right? It was special circumstances that year, 2020, and then it rallied into halving. We have a situation where we are seeing, especially miners, and you know, miner stocks have been going up a lot lately, but many miners have come out and said that they have they sold a lot of Bitcoin in order to improve their infrastructure, right? So when the price of Bitcoin does go up and they're post-halving, right, where they need the price to pump because there's 50% less circulation, right, that is being created every single day, they need the price to go up. And they are spending a lot of money to create better infrastructure, to build more mining rigs. I showed last night a 333 million facility that Riot is building, right? And so if the selling of the miners is over because they raised enough money, right? Grayscale has finished selling, then we could enter a giga bullish zone here. And the question is, has this pullback ended, and is this the last pullback? So will we ever test 45,000 again? That's the question. And moreover, the question is, right, is now the time to go all in? And I'll explain what all in is. So, but before that, Bitcoin ETFs has taken 2.2 million more than Grayscale outflow since launching. People are saying there's no demand, right? We're still seeing about 50,000 financial advisors that have not even looked at the possibility of offering their clients the Bitcoin ETFs. So we still got a lot of people that could potentially buy, and we know there's a tendency to buy when things are pumping, right? So when things are pumping, people are going to get that FOMO, right? Oh, FOMO alert, right? And they're going to potentially start to come back in. I look at going all in on any asset. So there's the school of people that look at going all in is meaning taking all your money or all the money that you have allocated for crypto, putting it all in on one asset, right? And that way, I totally disagree with that kind of behavior, right? Not financial advice, but I personally don't do it, right? And there's another school which look at all in as the fact that I, for example, allocate my portfolio in a certain way, right? And if I want, for example, 40% to be Bitcoin, so I look at my portfolio and I say, okay, if I want 40% to be Bitcoin, how much money am I going to actually put in for that 40%? So if it's $100,000, that means $40,000 in Bitcoin. And the question is now the time to top off that 40%? So to bring in all of the potential money that you wanted to allocate to Bitcoin. And that's an interesting question. The question we need to ask ourselves, if we are in Bitcoin for the short term, right? Or are we in Bitcoin for the long term? If we are in for the short term, there could be a continuation of volatility in the very short term. The next few days, the next few weeks, could be ups and downs. If you're looking farther out, we know that historically Bitcoin has always made a new high post halving. So the fact is that if we look now, Bitcoin could hit 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 post halving potentially, right? We don't know if that's going to happen for sure, but that's what's happened in the past. So we look at the past, try to predict what's going to happen in the future. And if you look at it like that, there's a potential 100% gain here in the next few months. Now, I don't know how high it could potentially get in the height, right? The new all-time high, right? Previous bull market, it's 6x. The previous bull market before that, it around 25x, right? So somewhere in between, maybe 300,000, 400,000 is where we think potentially it could go. And so if that potentially happens, does it really matter if you get in at 47,000, 46,000, 45,000? Like it's kind of mind-boggling to me. But then on the other hand, you could say, okay, I just saw a massive sell-off, 20% sell-off on Bitcoin. Everybody was bashing it. Now we saw it come back all the way back to the same price that it was before. The sell the news is over, right? The sell the news is over, and now we're back in a momentum, right? I personally, right, I'm topped off. So I topped off my Bitcoin position, and for now, I feel comfortable with that. I don't know what I'll do in the future, but potentially what I will be doing is strengthening my other assets, so the other 60%, if I do decide to do that. If I shift maybe money from the stock market to the crypto market or from other assets to the crypto, if I decide to do that, because the stock market is getting very stretched, right? It hit 5,000 and it could keep going, moving up. I have some assets that have gone parabolic recently, and so maybe I'll start shaving a little bit off of that. And historically, Bitcoin does its move, right? And then we see the altcoin market start pumping. And I think that's what's going to happen again. So I topped off my Bitcoin position, and now I'm going to start looking for potential 10x, 50x, 100x movers in the next bull market. Probably not tomorrow it's going to happen, but over the next potential year and a half, 2 years, I feel that a lot of assets will have that potential to move like that. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on and looking for in the next few months going into the halving. And I topped off, I'm not thinking about topping off more Bitcoin or buying more Bitcoin now. I did today, I topped it off, and that's it, right, for now. And so it's going to be very interesting to see where it goes. And of course, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. You need to figure out what's best for you, right? If you're interested in some trading platforms, we have our partners Bybit if you're outside of the US, where you can do leverage trading and copy trading. If you're in the US, we have crypto.com. You can get some prizes once you sign up using my link in the description down below. So check it out if you don't have yet a crypto account. And if you're interested in the stock market, our partner Moomoo gives you the opportunity to get up to 15 free stocks once you sign up, plus 5.1 base APY on an uninvested cash. So even if you're not investing, you're going to get that APY plus an extra 3% APY for the first 3 months after opening an account. So check it out in the description down below. Be interesting to see this weekend. Friday is sometimes a very good day for the crypto market, right? So it will be interesting to see where Bitcoin is going to go here. Bonk is moving up 20%. Very interesting. I see here. AVAX up 7.5%. Where's Sol? Sol up 2.2%. So Sol is being kind of held down a little bit, but the general crypto market is up 3.65%. So you see that Bitcoin dominance is up 1.24%. Getting back almost to where it was at the Bitcoin ETF announcement. It's not there yet, but it's getting closer back to it. Interesting, right? So it means that the altcoin market has more dominance than Bitcoin still. So it went up more than Bitcoin did. So it will be interesting to see if this gap closes and it gets back up to 55%. Don't forget to smash the like button. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.